the one, the only, Ben Sion.
Good evening and welcome to the special Motzei Shabbos edition of Just Daf It. It's part of the greater Yeshiva YouTube, the only virtual Yeshiva there is in the world, and maybe the only one there ever will be. It's pretty exclusive to be part of this Yeshiva. We're starting the fourth parak of Masechah Sotah tonight. Daf Chav Dal, number 24. We'll start from Chav Gimel and Beis, the beginning of the parak. The mission on the bottom. Arusa v'shemeres yavam lo shosos v'lo notos ksuva. Even though many other women fall into the category of a woman who could be a sotah, and arusa, someone who is engaged, or she's a shemeres yavam, meaning her husband died, and they died childless, and he has a brother living who is mitzvah to do the mitzvah of yibum, but they has not yet done it. For some reason, this engaged person, the shemeres yavam, were warned, and they secluded themselves, right? Even though normally Sotah applies to other married people, well, these people are not completely married, so therefore they don't drink. However, they don't get the ksuva, right? And basically they have to do chalitza in the case of Yibam, or need magarish her, because there is suspicion, because they were secluded. Shenemar, how do you know they can't acquit themselves through drinking the Mei Sotah? Shenemar, asher tista isha tachas isha, prat la rusa v'shemeres yavam. The pasuk of Sotah only talks about asher tachas isha. You have to be under that in the house of your husband, but these people are not fully married, so therefore they're excluded from the parsha of Sotah. Almana l'kohen gadol grusha v'chlusik l'hedyot. What about if you're married? However, you're married to someone you're not allowed to be married to by Isra of Lav. An almana, a widow, is married to a kohen gadol, or a grusha v'chlusik are married to a kohen hedyot. Mamzeres, a tabuk of Dalam and Olive, and Nisina Yisrael. Yisrael is married to one who's Mamzeres, right? She was born of an illicit union. Nisina is someone from the Zion Amim of Eretz Canaan. Ubas Yisrael, a Mamzer, and Nisin. Similarly, if a Jewish girl is married to one of these people, it's Israel Lav. You're not allowed to be married to that. Lo shosos l'nodel ksuva. They can't be shosa. They can't go ahead, even if they were married to. They're illegally married to them. When they're legally married, then the husband is not supposed to be married to them. Warns them, don't seclude yourself with someone else. I know I'm doing another being with you, but don't go and cheat on me with somebody else. So again, they're not shosa. The parsha Sotah does not apply to them because they're not supposed to be married, and they don't get a ksuva. They have to get divorced. They have to get divorced anyway because it's usher to be married to them. There are more ladies that also don't drink and don't get a ksuva. Before she drinks, she admits. She says that I committed adultery. Shabola Edom sheitmei, or Edom came and said that she committed adultery. Even one aid we said earlier in the Masechta is good enough. Ve'omeres eini shosa. And if she says I don't want to drink, she doesn't admit that she committed adultery, but it's tantamount to admitting she committed adultery. Now, this is only talking about if they didn't already erase the parsha of Sotah into the water. Once they erase the parsha of Sotah into the water, we learned already in the Masechta, according to the main opinion, is that we force her to drink the water, and either she's guilty and she dies or not. Amar Baila Ini Mashka. What about her husband says he's too afraid, doesn't want to kill she's guilty of killing his wife. I don't want her to drink. Or when they're going to Yerushalayim to drink the Mei Sotah, they're together in a hotel on the way. In that case, no ksuva v'lo shosos. They're also not to drink the water, but she does get a ksuva because it's the husband's fault, or it's coming from the husband. Husband's not allowed to be together. Once she's secluded with another man, she's not allowed to be together with her husband. If she is, we blame the husband, and she walks out of the marriage, but gets her ksuva in these cases. Mesu ba'alei and ajalo shasu. Let's say they're about to give her the Mei Sotah, but her husband dies before she has a chance to drink it. Bishamai says they don't drink the water, right? One of the ingredients of the parsha of Sotah is the husband has to be mashker. The husband has to be present in order to administer the waters to her. Doesn't have to actually give the waters in her mouth. I think the Kohen does that, but he has to be present. If he's dead, so therefore it's his fault. They get their ksuva and they don't drink. Beisila says basically they don't get their ksuba. The only way you can get your ksuba is by drinking and proving your innocence. In this case, it doesn't mean they have an option. They don't have an option. You can't be mashke a sotah if the husband's not around. He's not around. He's dead. Well, basically, just he argues at Beit Shammai. He said they don't get their ksuba. The marriage ends. They don't get a ksuba. Moberes chavero uminekas chavero lo shosos l'nol ksuba. Now the Rabbanan said, Mesechus Ksubos, we learned that you're not allowed to be married to a woman, even after her husband divorces her or he dies, if she's pregnant, or even if she gave birth to a child and the child is not 24 months old yet, and she's still nursing the child. Right? A woman technically could nurse her child until 24 months. She could nurse longer, but the normal way of nursing, if she's not pregnant, is to nurse for 24 months. So therefore, she's not allowed to marry somebody else. She's not allowed to marry somebody else. The Rabbanan made a gzera, not allowed to marry someone else. The reason she's not allowed to marry someone else because the new husband is not going to care so much, and she's nursing the child, and he's going to want to have a child with her, and the milk is going to dry up, and they're not going to have anything to feed the child. Technically, he doesn't have to pay for someone else's child, a woman's child from a different husband. So we're worried about the baby, so therefore, they're not supposed to be married to Rabbanan. So this is not like before we said Alman l'kohen gadol gusha v'klusa l'kohen hedyo, which is really the Oraisa. Klusa is really the Rabbanan. But here's only a gzera the Rabbanan. So what they marry someone, it's illegally married the Rabbanan, and then they have this process of seclusion over here where he warns her we're not supposed to be married, but also don't seclude with someone else, and she does seclude with somebody else. So what's the halacha? Lo shosos l'nol ksuvasa divrei Reb Meir. Meir, who actually made this gzera in Mesechus, he says therefore, because they're not to be married together, therefore it prevents the whole parsha of Sotah doesn't go into effect. So they don't drink the water and they don't get the ksuba. Technically, if he wanted to, he's not only married right now, but if he waits till the end of 24 months, right? If he married her when she was 12 months nursing, he has to wait another 12 months. After 12 months, he can remarry her. So therefore, technically, when he goes and returns and marries her, so then he could actually force her to drink the mei sotah and demand that she drink the mei sotah. If she doesn't, and she loses her ksuba. If she does, we'll see what happens. Another, you're not supposed to, if you don't have any children, you're not supposed to marry somebody who's an islandess. An islandess is a woman who doesn't show signs of being a female. Her voice is deep. Her voice is deep, and she doesn't develop the way the body of a normal woman would. Or skin an old lady, she's in menopause. Or a woman who became sterile. She can't have children. You're not supposed to marry her. You have to make kind of mitzvah approve vote. So technically, the Rabbanan, you're not supposed to be married to her. So if you warned her and you said don't seclude yourself, and she's secluded, again, since you're not supposed to be married, so they don't be shosa, but you don't get the ksuba because it's also her fault. You're not supposed to be married to her. Rabbi Eliezer says no. There's no reason why he can't marry this woman. He can't ask because he can marry a different woman. He can marry a second woman. Nowadays, you can't marry two women, but technically, according to the Torah, you can marry a second woman. So therefore, it's not an avera what he's doing. So therefore, the parsha sotah applies. If she secludes with the man, he can force her to drink the water. And if she doesn't want to drink, then she leaves without a ksuba. The rest of the women have to drink, and if they don't drink, right, and the only way to get their ksuba is to drink and to prove their innocence. They don't drink, they don't get a ksuba. Isha's Kohen shows muteras the baila. The wife of a Kohen, even the wife of a Kohen, even if she's raped, right, she would be ushered to her husband. Here, where we're talking about, maybe she did it willfully, she cheated on her husband. But if she drinks the water and she's proven innocent, she goes back to her husband. Aisha Sris shows that the wife of a Sris is a man who is emasculated. He can't have children. She does get to drink to prove her innocence. You could warn a woman not to be together, not to seclude with anyone, except you can't warn her not to seclude with a katan, someone who's not a bar mitzvah. The Gemara will tell you what's considered not a man. It has to be someone who is an eligible bachelor. And that's where the warning and the seclusion apply to lead to the parsha of Sotah. The Elusha based in Makanin Lahu. There are certain times that based in has to step in. the Rabbanim have to step in and warn for the husband because he's not around. Mishnah Scharij Baila. Let's say the husband became a deaf mute. He's deaf mute, so he can't. And it's suspicion going around. We know that there are rumors of women sleeping around. So Beis Din could step in and warn for the husband. Or the husband actually became deranged. He was in jail. Obviously, they can't make her drink the Sotah because they need the husband to be present. If he's not present mentally, you can't make her drink the Sotah. However, Beis Din could step in, and they could, if she violates that warning and secludes herself with this man in front of two Eidim, so then she'll lose her ksuba. Yossi Omer Afla Shkosa. Yossi says also, in the case of someone who went to jail, right, Beis Din can step in and warn her, and she'll seclude based on that warning. And Adam saw the seclusion, and then when the husband gets out of jail, he can step in and make her drink the Sotah. The Gemara says that Mishnah hu lo shachsia. About the first two cases in our Mishnah, Arusa Shemeres Yavam, it says that they don't drink the Sotah. However, you could warn them. Why is it effective to warn them? Because if they violate your warning, they seclude themselves, they lose the ksuba. Benani mili. Where is it we know this? From the Tana Rabbanan, Daber al b'nei Yisrael Marta alehem. Speak to b'nei Yisrael and say to them, L'rabos, it's redundant, right? Speak to b'nei Yisrael Marta alehem. L'rabos arusa v'shmeres yavam l'kinoi. To tell you that arusa v'shmeres yavam also are in the part, its warning and seclusion applies to them. Shtia, actually going through and drinking the waters, they can't do that, but these do. Mastisimani, who is our Mishnah like? Rabbi Yonasan here is like Rabbi Yonasan Lazani, Tachas Ishech. Pasuk says by Sotah, underneath your husband, Prala Arusa, excluding an Arusa. Arusa is not married to me. You might think Shemeres Yavam also shouldn't be included in the Parsha Sotah. Talmud Lomar, Ishish. It says at the beginning of the Parsha, Ishish, Ish twice. Divrei Rabbi Yoshua. So therefore that comes to include Shemeres Yavam. She could participate in the procedures of a Sotah. One pasuk says underneath your husband. Shemeres Yavam is not underneath her husband. She's awaiting the Yavam to make a move. Do chalitz or Yavam. Oti Shemeres Yavam v'lo oti as Arusa. You might think I only exclude Shemeres Yavam and not exclude Arusa. Talmud Lomar Asher Tiste. Isha Tachas Isha. Prat la Arusa. So according to Rabbi Yonasan, he excludes. This second pasuk is coming to exclude an Arusa. Meaning basically Arusa and Shemeres Yavam, they don't drink the water. Mar alimole Arusa, the Kedusha Dide, V'soklin al Yado, Mar alimole Shemeres Yavam, D'lo Misra Misir L'chuppah. Right? The first time it says Tachas Isha in the pasuk, right? One man Damar Darshan, Rabbi Yonasan Darshans twice it says that. We'll talk about what Rabbi Yoshua does for the second time it says that. But according to Rabbi Yonasan, one pasuk comes to include the first time it excludes something. According to Rabbi Yonasan, I'll exclude Shemeres Yavam, right? And the second exclusion is Arusa. So to him, it's more reasonable to exclude Shemeres Yavam. Why exclude Shemeres Yavam? According to him, an Arusa is more connected to the husband than a Shemeres Yavam, right? Because he was Makadesh, this lady. He was Makadesh her. And also, when you're in a state of Erison, she's an Aramurasa, or she's not Aramurasa, she's not a Nara, she's an older lady of Bulgaris, but Arusa, if she commits adultery at that time, is skila, right? A Shemeres Yavam who is mizana with a different man, it's only a violation of a law, but it's not skila. Umar alimole Rabbi Yoshia, sorry, alimole Shemeres Yavam. Lo misra misir l'chuppah. The first exclusion, he made a Shemeres Yavam. Lo misra misir l'chuppah. I'm sorry, the first exclusion he said is to exclude an Arusa. Shemeres Yavam he was not excluding. Arusa he excludes because she's less connected than the Shemeres Yavam. Shemeres Yavam basically was married to the first brother, and all you need is Bia, right? The Yavam, all you do is consummate is to be together with her. He doesn't have to go into the chuppah with her, like a normal marriage. So therefore they're closer, they're bound closer together. So therefore the first exclusion is to exclude an Arusa, an engaged woman. Rabbi Yonasan, the second opinion, Hi Ishish my Avilai. What does he do with the fact that Ishish, right? Ishish comes to include, according to Rabbi Yoshua, comes to include Shemeres Yavam, that there is a partial Sotah, she does drink the Sotah. Comes to include the wife of a person who's deaf, a person who's mentally deranged and a person who's insane. There's two types of, there's worse than being a Sotah. A Sotah is a crazy person, but an insane person, crazy people, they go into their corner, they do crazy stuff. A shimum, an insane person, will actually attack other people. So therefore, that's why Ishish comes to include, there's no reason to exclude them. They're fully married. The fact that the husband is mentally incapacitated partially doesn't make a difference. There's still a parsha of Sotah, at least in terms, like the Mishnah says, at least in terms of losing her ksuba. He's not going to be present to be mashke her, but at least lose it to her. Rabbi Yoshia, Hi Tachas Isha, my Avid. According to Rabbi Yonasan, he had two psukim, Tachas Isha, Katad Isha. One to exclude Shemeres Yavam, one to exclude Arusa. Rabbi Yoshia only excludes one, so Tachas Isha, my Avid. What does he do with that pasuk? This is a lima the Gemara is going to say in a couple of dapim. I'm not going to explain it now because I really don't understand what it's saying right now. The article says, look in the Gemara later on, a couple of dapim. To compare a man to a woman to a man, we'll see later on what that teaching is. The reason, according to Rabbi Yonasan, right, it says psukim, tachas ishech and tachas isha, to exclude narusa shemeres yavam. The reason is because it says these psukim. Halav haki, it didn't say these psukim. How I mean arusa shasya? I would think an arusa goes ahead and drinks the mei sota. V'haki asa Rav Achav Bar Chanina Midroma. Rav Bar Chanina came from the south. Asa v'aisi masnisa b'yadeh. He brought a mishnah with him. Baladei ishech. Mishakidma shkivas baal leboal. V'lo shkadma shkivas boal lebal. Pasuk says by Sotah, baladei ishech, from apart from your husband. We learn from this pasuk that it has to be that first the husband was together with her, and then the boal, the adulterer, happened afterwards. But if the adulterer was the first one together with Arusa, she's engaged, right? That's not a parsha of Sotah. It can't be. No, it's still possible to fulfill this brisa because it's possible even if they're only engaged, she could have been together with her. It's only drabanan technically if you're engaged to be together. So therefore, it's possible they were together. It could be even it's mutter, like Yehuda in certain places, it's mutter actually to be together with a woman you're engaged to. So therefore, it's possible even in Arusa. So the Gemara says, the kavasa gavashimer yavam kigon shabola yavam bebeis chameh. So what are you going to say? Obviously, right, to make this brisa stand up by shemeres yavam would have to be that the yavam was together with her before he took her in yibam, right? He was together with the beit chameh in the father-in-law's house. Hashemeres Yavam Karis La Ishta Mal Yasiya. You can't call her Shemeres Yavam in that case. Once he does Bia, once he's together with her, that's Yibum. That is Yibum. Even if you do it by accident, you fall. The Mishnah says in Mesachas Yevamos, it's totally you're drunk, you're shogeg, you're onus, you're together with her, you fall off a roof, you're together with her, you're kona her. So how can you call her Shemeres Yavam? How can the Mishnah call her Shemeres Yavam? Rav says that when you're together with her in this, second-class fashion, you're not mentally aware of what you're doing. You're onus, you're sleeping, you're falling off a roof. It's a complete kinyan. You're kona her for everything. So the Gemara says, Shmuel argues on Rav. Right? Normally, if you're together, you have a bia together of yibam with consent, and you want to do it, and you're mentally present. That obviously is the mitzvah of yibum. It's a complete kinyan. However, if you do it in a way which is, a perfunctory type of way, which is not with lacking some mental awareness, so you're not kohen her for everything. For example, that if you're a kohen, you're not going to be able to eat or give her tea truma. She's not going to be your wife to matami for her to go bury her if you're a kohen. However, for things in the parsha, for yavam, right, he acquires the estate of his brother, right? His brother died. He has other brothers. If he does Yibam, he gets his entire estate. He gets the wife with the estate, right? Things of Yibam, that does work. But according to Shmuel, other things, so he's not completely the wife. So that's what it's talking about. That's what Shemeres Yavam is talking about, where it was done in a way that was without mental, complete awareness. He did a b'shogeg, he did onus. So let's make it very, very neat. Rav has to say like Rabbi Yoshia, and Shmuel has to say like Rabbi Yonasan, right? Because according to Rav says anyway they're together, kana l'kol. So he's going to have to say like Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yoshia says he excludes he excludes an arusa, but not a shemeres yavam. Right? Shemeres yavam is different, obviously, because shemeres yavam, there's no case where you can be together beis chameh and not have yibum. Right? Shmuel, the Amar Karesh, Shmuel considered like Rabbi Yonasan, because according to Shmuel, it's possible to have this perfunctory type of bia, the beis chameh, and be called shemeres yavam. So Rabbi Yonasan excludes both. Amar lecha Rav. Rav says, "Ah, the Amri afil Rabbi Yonasan." The Gemara says you can't. It's not so neat. Rav would say I can even go according to Rabbi Yonasan's opinion. Right? Rabbi Yonasan says he excluded shemeres yavam also, but the fact that we only know that because the Torah says tachas sheikh, right? So therefore, it must be that it's talking about it's really his wife. Nonetheless, the pasuk, that's the pasuk coming to tell you that it's not included. It's not included. And so even though you're kona lakol, according to Rav, even if you're bala beis chameh in a perfunctory type of way, you're kona her entirely. However, that's what the pasuk says. Even though ishta malya, so the Torah comes and excludes her. The drasha in the Torah. The Shmuel I could even say according to Rabbi Yoshia. This Rabbi Yoshia, right, basically says a shemeres yavam. The only one excluded from drinking is an arusa. So according to Rabbi Yoshia, a shemeres yavam does drink. You can say I even can say according to Rabbi Yoshia. Shmuel doesn't have to say like Rabbi Yoshia, because Shmuel can talk about like he was bal beis chameh. He was together with her before Yibum in a perfunctory type of way, but ones b'shogeg. Nonetheless, the fact that the Torah comes to include her, right? It says according to Rabbi Yoshia, it says ishish, right? Comes to include her, right? So you see that obviously the Torah is telling you something that you wouldn't have known, right? It must be she's not really his wife. Therefore, it comes, right, according to Shmuel, not really the wife. You're not kona l'kol. Nonetheless, she included in the parsha of Sotah, because it's drasha. That's what the Torah says. The Torah is telling you the chiddush that she's included in the parsha of Sotah. That's the conclusion of tonight's shir. Stay tuned for Ian of Ben Sion, where I talk about can you be married to a dead person. Ian of Ben Sion coming up next.